Morning class. Sorry I'm late. I was busy.
Sir,
Yes.
well, we asked 42 students in our quantitative methods class and found that 10 of them prefer Coke and 32 prefer Pepsi. And we reported our findings to TLU and recommended they serve Pepsi over Coke, but they rejected our recommendation, but we don't understand why.
Well, TOU rejected your recommendation because your data isn't representative of the entire campus. So let's take a look at how to take an accurate sample. So the total number of students in the school makes up your population, and the one selected is your sample. Now, in order for it to be a random sample, each one of those students has to have an equal chance of being selected from the population. So computers have made the task of selecting a random sample much easier. For instance, you can just tell the computer the sample size that you want, and the computer can use the data of the students currently enrolled in the school to pick a random set. So once the student's name has been chosen, if they're not eligible to be chosen again, then that is called random sampling without replacement. And likewise, if you can pick their name again in the sample, then that's random sampling with replacement.
So we could use either sampling method?
Now, to demonstrate this in Fathom, if you are there any computer science majors in the class?
I can help you with that, Professor. And hit on.
This collection, called People, has 5,000 cases in it. Let's sample from the collection. I right-click on it, choose Sample Cases from the context menu that appears, and a new collection appears called Sample of People. I can create a table of that collection and show you the 10 people who are in that sample. I can make a graph of the data as well. This shows the ages of the 10 people in the sample. If I want to resample, I can open up the collection and press the Sample More Cases button and get a new set of 10 people each time. For additional control over the sampling, double-click the sample collection to bring up its inspector. In the sample panel, you can control whether the sampling, for example, is with replacement and how many cases you're sampling.
Okay, so if we took a random sample size with a sample size of 60, would that be a representation of the entire TLU campus?
Well, no, not necessarily, because even if the sample is random, you may have more men than women or more seniors than juniors, for example. So let's say that this makes up your entire population, and you could randomly select a sample from over here, and then that wouldn't be representative of your population as a whole, or over here for that matter.
So how do we get a sample that's representative of everyone?
So you always want a larger sample size. In fact, as a general rule, the larger the sample size is, the more representative it is of the entire population.
So if we increase our sample size to 1,000, we won't encounter any problems?
Well, no, not necessarily. See, although your sample size would be more representative of the general population, it could present other problems. Financial problems, for example, just how much you'd have to test. So if increasing the sampling size isn't a good solution, then we use a technique called stratified sampling.
What's that?
Well, this type of sampling involves breaking up the population into smaller subpopulations known as strata. So let's say you divided up the school into freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Then you could either take an equal number from each strata, or you could represent each strata in relation to how they're represented proportionally in the larger population.
What about the number of males and females in the sample?
Oh wait, I'm sorry, what did you say? Yes, you know I have a policy against cell phones in my class, except when it's my cell phone, but seriously, what did you say?
What about the number of males and females in the sample?
Okay, so let's say you have more women than men at the school. If that were the case, then your sample might want to be reflective of that by having more women than men in the group that you picked. Understand? So you have your larger population, and then from that you take a sample. Now the sample can either be random with replacement, random without replacement, or a stratified sample as opposed to the random method. So that actually reminds me of a funny story about sampling. You see, it was a while back. Oh, that's the bell. Before you go, there's an I'll email you the assignment for Monday.